Hi everybody. Now today we want to go into some of these books, and I think a great place to start is Team of Teams by it says New Rules of Engagement for a Complex World by General Stanley McChrystal. It is such an amazing read. And I want to show you some of the things that he has written here. Again, I've underlined so many of these things because theirs was a task force in Iraq to deal with the Al-Qaeda, situation in Iraq. And while they were there, they found out that they were facing an enemy they were not prepared for. Listen to what he said. The task force had amassed 40 years of experience and amazing accomplishments. By any objective standard, we were the finest special operations fighting force in the world, the best of the best. But that didn't seem to be doing us any good now. We had just failed to prevent the deaths of 35 children, and we were losing a war to a collection of undersourced extremists. On paper, the confrontation between Al-Qaeda in Iraq and our task force should have been no contest. We had a large, well-trained, superbly equipped force, while the Al-Qaeda in Iraq had to recruit locals and smuggle in foreign fighters one by one through dangerous, unreliable rat lines. We enjoyed robust communication technology, while they were often dependent on face-to-face meetings and letters delivered by courier to minimize the risk of detection. Our fighters had persevered through the most demanding training in the history of special operations. Theirs had attended a smattering of madrasas scattered across the Arabian Peninsula and North Africa. Now, when you look at that, there should be no contest. But the central message that I got from this is that we cannot generalize education. And the reason why a lot of people become relevant, and the reason I wrote a book, Beyond Intelligence, the simple practice of staying relevant, is because I realized a lot of people are so educated, like this task force, so knowledgeable, have everything, but the only reason they are not breaking through like they ought to break through is because they don't understand their terrain. In the battle between a lion and a shark, the terrain will determine the outcome. If the lion encounters the shark on dry land, the shark becomes a victim. If the shark encounters the lion in the water, the lion becomes a victim. Nobody was made weak, but people take up an appearance of weakness when they are in the wrong terrain. And that is the central message I learned from this. And I'd like to encourage you, get yourself a copy of this book if you can. Another one I really need to talk about is the Blue Ocean Strategy. Now, just listen to this. And when I read these books, I think, who thinks like this, man? It says, the overriding focus of strategic thinking has been on competition-based red ocean strategies. Part of the explanation for this is that corporate strategy is heavily influenced by its roots in military strategy. The very language of strategy is deeply imbued with military references. Chief executive officers in headquarters, troops on front lines, and so on and so forth. And basically, do you know there is no template for war? No two wars are the same. And just like we saw, and that's the reason I brought this after talking about Team of Teams, that a lot of times, if you go into war and you say, all right, we have a template for war. The last war was like this. It doesn't work. There's no template for war. In the same way, this guy taught me something. They said, the old mindset, this is, what I wrote here, I was writing here is, beat an enemy to succeed. The new mindset is creating a new platform with no competition. What that did for me, let me tell you what I did. When I go to the beach, the coastal area, I like to swim far out into sea. I like to swim really far out. So, but I take a boat, go out, then when I get out there, I come out and I swim. Now, when you're out there, do you know it's silent? It's silent. The only sound is the sound of the water lapping against your body. Now, my question, where are the noisemakers? They are all at the beach. They don't know how to swim. What that did for me, coming from this book, what that did for me is that when you hear and listen, when you hear the sound of competition and it's loud enough, it means you have not gone out far enough in your thinking. And so that's what I did. I want to go far out there. And one of my personal philosophies is that I learned is this. The language at the beach is the language of competition. Everybody's fighting everywhere. The language in the deep is the language of collaboration. So when you're out there, if you meet other people, they're likely to be deep swimmers like yourself. So you need to stop competing. Look, if your dream is always competition driven, what happens when you become number one? That means you have no more motivation because your dream was all about defeating the competition. So this book, I think it just helps unlock some areas of thinking where you shift your focus from competition and you now begin to think innovation. How can I be different? And I will end this by saying your greatest strength is not in how similar you are to others, but it is in how different you are. You have to be different to make a difference. God bless you.